Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My car is back. My 2011 Porsche Cayenne S. The car is back in my possession. I am happy to have it back. I have done a considerable amount of work just to make the car completely dialed in, and now it's driving like a brand new car. And here are some of the things that I did. The first thing that I recently did, well, if you've been watching the channel as of recently, you noticed that I had gone to a quad exhaust setup and now it's back to a dual exhaust setup. And here is a small clue. I got rid of my 2B exhaust because it was simply making way too much noise. And look, I really did enjoy the exhaust for about the first 5 minutes, but then after listening to the car for a 20-minute commute, a 30-minute commute, all the droning for me was excessive. And when the car was silent or I wasn't listening to music, it was perfectly fine. It was actually enjoyable. But there's a time and a place where you just want to turn it off sometimes because you just want to listen to a podcast. If I want to listen to my sister's podcast on NPR, Planet Money, I want to be able to do that. Or if I want to be able to just take a phone call or a conference call, because I do work, I want to be able to do that in silence. And the silencer on the back of this machine is now operable. So that is one thing that I consider to be very important. I want to be able to use the car, listen to music, listen to a podcast, take a conference call for work, and I think that's very important. So that is one important reason as to why I reverted back to the stock setup. And it just teaches me a lesson that what Porsche was doing in period was right. Like, they know what they're doing. Modified Porsches are cool, but there's a time and a place for them. Another thing that I did that you probably cannot see, I'll try to get underneath the car, but I did the lower control arms. You could see, well, one thing that you'll notice is that this roll bar is a little bit rusty. That's only surface rust. I'm going to get that repaired. But you could see the lower control arms are brand new on both corners. And that just refreshes the entire ride. It makes it very smooth. And on top of that, it just allows for brand new bushings. And speaking of bushings, I did the motor mounts. So having new motor mounts, having new lower control arms just brings this ride quality to a brand new level. And this car drives like a brand new car. And now that I redid the exhaust setup, you just know that this car is just driving smoothly. And for all intensive purposes and research, this is what the exhaust setup sounds like. Right now, I'm going to set it up so you guys can listen to it because I have my keys right here. I also got rid of the plastic covers that I bought on eBay because, well, the original will always last longer than the plastic aftermarket ones. So yeah, it still sounds like a V8. I mean, at the end of the day, it still sounds very, very good. And if I get into the car, I'm listening to classical music on 105.9 in New York. I can listen to my music in peace. You can actually hear me because there's enough sound deadening in this car to make it an enjoyable experience. And I could drive this car and enjoy it, and ultimately that's all that matters. I can have a conversation where I'm not screaming at my passengers and they don't think that I'm angry at them because I'm just trying to talk over the exhaust. It's a beautiful thing. and having this car set up back to its exhaust in its stock capacity and having things back in its standard state is actually kind of refreshing. And it's an expensive mistake, but it is what it is. That exhaust is not for sale, and I'm sure I'll get my money back. It's just a matter of time, because the 2B exhaust is a highly sought after exhaust within the Cayenne forums, within Porsche groups all over online. It was very hard to get that exhaust set up because they sell immediately. So if you want to be the first one to get that exhaust set up, I have it listed on PCA Mart. I also have it listed on my Facebook, on Facebook Marketplace in the New York City regional area. And you could just DM me. You could even email me in the description below, or reach out to me on Instagram at abarris2529. So there are many options in order for you to get this exhaust setup if it's something that interests you and if it fits your particular needs. For me, it didn't fit my needs because I'm a two-car solution type of person. This is my parents' car. But while they're in Florida or while they're away on vacation, I maintain the car. So, for me, it just didn't make sense to have a loud exhaust on my daily commuter. And even on my 911, I enjoy listening to music, like I enjoy having that car in a race car setup. But at the end of the day, I also realized I don't like loud cars. Like, I like them to be loud enough, but I like to be able to turn it off. It's cool. It's a cool party trick for a short amount of time. But at the end of the day, I just want to enjoy the car. And I want to be able to just drive and not set off a sound and speed camera. That's also important. Got to save money wherever you can. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's just a quick update on 3 major modifications that I did to this car. I reverted back to the stock setup for the exhaust. I also refreshed the lower control arms, and I also put brand new motor mounts to have a very planted, solid, stable, and good feeling car when I'm driving down the road. It drives like a modern 5 Series now, meaning that it's very quiet, and for an SUV, that's very important. I don't want to be driving a car that feels like a 1980s Chevy Econoline church bus. I want to be able to drive something that just feels good, feels stable, and is able to handle corners, because I remember my first Cayenne was definitely set up very well, and that drove incredibly well. So that was a standard or a benchmark that I had set for myself in terms of ride comfort when it comes to Cayennes. And I've driven a few Cayennes, and now this car feels exactly as it did back in 2011. So I'm very happy about that. If you like what I had to say, please comment, please like, and do yourself a favor and subscribe, because I have more content coming your way. Thank you for watching.